Okay, so very good morning. We're back. So this is the third slide and third lesson, and we're talking about the second type of meditation, which is the Asubha meditation, impurities of the body meditation. So right in the diagram here, you'll see some monks and sitting and looking at some corpse. So this is probably a very rare practice, maybe in modern or developed countries a bit rare. Maybe in India still might have some corpses above ground level, and in the Buddha's time they're called charnel grounds. Charnel grounds. So charnel ground is a place probably for people who do not have privilege for proper kind of like ceremonies. No cremation, no burial, no nothing. So they just dump the body there. And this place somehow are good for meditators or popular for meditators to sit around and contemplate on death. Contemplate on death. So I give this interesting story. This one is regarding the right effort. So the Buddha was talking to his disciples and asking his disciples, how often do you contemplate on death? Maranasati, there's this meditation called Maranasati. It's not to look forward to die, It's actually to contemplate that one day we will go through this phase. One day we'll go through this phase. So he asked his disciple, how often do you reflect on death? So one of the students answered, every year, my birthday that time, then I think of death. Then the Buddha said, no, not good enough. Right? Then the other one said, every full moon or new moon, also not good enough. Then the other one said, every day, when you wake up, it's like birth, fall asleep like death. Then the model student answered, but the Buddha said all of these are not good enough, too slow. And the model student answered, every breath, every in-breath, one moment closer to death. You exhale, one moment closer to death. Then the Buddha said, bagus. This is the correct answer. So this is the amount of right effort we actually need to at least talk about getting closer to liberation. Every moment we are not applying the contemplation, we will be clinging to something. Only when we think of like death or impermanence, then there will be some kind of detachment. So we are inbuilt to attach to something. Inbuilt to be attached to something. So we need to keep on reflecting. Right? So that's how intense, how close the reflection, every in and out breath. Right? So that's why when I give instruction, keep nagging, right thought. Okay, so that's a rationale for that. Okay, so nowadays, not many. So maybe in some Buddhist countries, I'm not sure whether in Sri Lanka, you got visit those autopsy thing. Don't have, okay. Some Buddhist countries, they have this arrangement. The hospital will invite the monks, to look at the autopsy of the dead body. So whoever doing the autopsy will cut up the body, and then the monk will sit front row, like sit and watch. So that's for Buddhist countries. Okay, why practice this meditation? If you look at this practice, you look at the body and rotting and all this, like crazy like that. Right? Some places you can do this. If you modern time, you see a dead body, you sit beside and watch and meditate, you might get into trouble. You might get in trouble. Maybe police or investigator want to find out who's the murderer. You sit there, you look, then you might get in trouble. Okay, so actually, suitable for celibate life actually. For those, if you want to break your precept on this sexual intercourse, or let's say if you're a lay person, you don't want to cheat your spouse, if let's say your workplace got a lot of attractive people, then you do this. You don't get in trouble. Mindfulness of the body, develop dispassion, right? Sign of beautiful. So it's got to do with stunning your perception. Got to do with stunning your perception. So I gave the example of the Zen poet, right? 3 lines. So I give a short account of before I became a monk, Singaporean man, I have to serve 2 years this national service. So last time I was posted as combat medic. So one of the course you have to go through is to learn how to poke people's vein. Poke people's vein. So it's a training. So we have to, we don't train with plastic dummies, we train a real person. So medic to medic is like, okay, you be my practice partner, I be your practice partner. So you take my arm, you poke my arm, then afterwards I take your arm, I poke your arm. So every day we have to look for vein. So we have one of these thing called IV, intravenous fusion, right? So this practice. So 10 sessions, 10 sessions. So at least after the course, we have 10 holes, 10 holes in the arm. Sometimes people poke, they miss, then they poke again, and sometimes they poke, then they poke through the vein, then your vein all tear, burst. So you have a lot of funny pattern. So after the course, everybody will look each other very differently. We all look at the veins of the person. See vein. So this is called perception. So you have perception of this body. So different people, depending on your life experience or your occupation, you perceive people differently. So maybe a person who is medically trained, they'll perceive people differently also. They see, when look at the body, they'll see in terms of their profession perspective. So one of the so-called benefits of this meditation is to, after doing a long time, you might see people slightly differently. For example, maybe doctors or surgeons, they every day look at body parts. Initially, they'll feel gross, but after some time to them, it's okay, just normal work really. Then life goes back to normal. They still get married, still buy a big car, big house. So life still get back to normal. Right? So the idea of this perception, or whatever image you see, no Dhamma value. The body part you see, no Dhamma value. The hair you visualize, the skin, the teeth you visualize, no Dhamma value. You actually need to add the right thought. Add the right thought. So in our routine, we add the loving kindness first, followed by the impermanence. So we add these two. Most other systems out there, when they teach this meditation, they'll just visualize that body part. Maybe visualize the hair only. Maybe never think of impermanence. Then they visualize the teeth, then all the parts of the body, like the bone, the flesh, everything. Just the body part itself. Okay. Okay, so we slightly covered this. So there are 6 kinds of this mindfulness of the body. So this topic is maybe related to the last 3. Foulness of the body, 4 elements, and cemetery contemplations. Cemetery contemplation. So these are the 3 that we are. Okay, let people take photo. Okay. So this Asubha meditation is a Pali name. There are various names to call it. You can call it foulness of the body, impurities of the body, 32 parts of the body. So last time, ancient India, uh, their science, the medical science, the most, they cut out the body 32 parts. They differentiate the parts of the body 32 parts. So maybe now the medical science more advanced. They talk about DNA, then your cells, then all those things. So maybe more parts. Okay. So in the sutta, actually any meditation object itself can lead to liberation when taught by the Buddha. So the Buddha will add the Noble Eightfold Path to that object, just like yesterday we covered Karaniya Metta Sutta. So this sutta talks about the Vijaya Sutta, victory. So the Buddha talks about look at all the parts of the body. Okay, I'll talk about that later. Okay, so these are the first 5 parts of the body. Hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. So interestingly, our routine, we only do the external parts of the body. Somehow I don't teach the internal parts. Who is familiar with the internal organs? Nobody, right? A few people, maybe a few people. It's not like we see these things every day, right? The only thing we see every day is external parts of the body, correct? If you look at the mirror of it right now, you can see evidence. Evidence. The other things a bit hard to visualize. A bit hard to visualize. So I received like a meme or like a viral email last time. It's a joke so it's a Christian joke. So it's about this atheist professor, science professor. He made a claim. Whatever you cannot see or you cannot observe, then doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. So he made a remark. He said, God doesn't exist because you cannot see God. Right? So that's what he claimed. So one of the students who is Christian, obviously, very upset. So he started to ask the professor, Professor, can you see your brain? And professor, he can't see his brain, right? How to see the brain, right? So the student said, does that mean your brain doesn't exist? Right? Okay, so that's a joke, but anyway, the idea behind of us doing the external parts of the body, because a bit hard to visualize something that we seldom see. We seldom see. So we just think on external parts of the body. It works. Even for monastic ordination, our Theravada tradition, our preceptor will just name these 5 parts, correct? Kesa, Loma, Danta, Naka, Tacho. So these are the 5 parts of the body. Hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. So the preceptor, our preceptor, the ordained us, only asks us to think of these 5. What more for the layperson? Then we expect the layperson to think of all the parts of the body, right? So minimum 5. But if you are more adventurous, you want to do more, by all means. Let's say you can visualize all the internal organs, your flesh and everything. By all means, go ahead. Who here see blood will faint? Nobody. Sometimes I conduct course in Singapore. There are people, see blood will faint. Okay, then I remove some image. I remove some image. Okay, so now no image. Total words only. Okay, so all these are the so-called 32 parts of the body. Okay. So in the Vijaya Sutta, which I mentioned earlier, if a meditator were to contemplate all the parts of the body a whole day, head to toe, from toe to head, all the parts of the body the whole day, they stun the perception, they stun the craving, it will lead to liberation. Lead to liberation. Yeah? So the bottom line, it lead to this deathless, calm, the undying state of unbinding. Unbinding. So this is the, if you want to do the full package. But of course, there are case studies, like I give the example of Venerable Arahant Sivali. So Arahant Sivali, just think of the hair only. Your hair impermanent, when shaving the hair impermanent. Then he got enlightened. I don't have to think of all the different parts, don't have to sit full lotus and meditate for so long. So it's about right reflection, Eightfold Path. So Eightfold Path inside never say must sit full lotus. Never. So it's about every moment thought, your thought process. Okay. So there might be some misconception. If you want to fully focus on just thinking on the parts of the body, very draining. You need to come up with the image and you need to think of impermanence, think of it as disgusting or whatever. Very draining. So the traditional approach actually doesn't lead to jhanas. Doesn't lead to jhanas. Maybe in the Visuddhimagga they tell you first jhana, but in the suttas somehow it's like no. Okay, so the Buddha gave a comparison in this Asubha Sutta. The Buddha was comparing Asubha practitioners versus jhana practitioners. It's like, why you need to separate for it? Because maybe other meditation object can reach jhanas, but Asubha somehow like cannot. So the Buddha compared between these two. So the Buddha mentioned this Asubha practice is called the unpleasant path. Because if you see the disgusting parts of the body, you feel a bit unpleasant, right? So you call this the unpleasant path. But can reach liberation. So fast or slow to reach liberation depends on your faculties. Depends on each individual faculties. How much faith you have, how much effort you put in, how much mindfulness you have, how much concentration, how much wisdom. So it depends on individual faculty. So in the Thai tradition, or in the Thai forest tradition, usually or most people, they will do the recite Buddho as their samatha to build up the concentration. After the mind is calm, then they do this Asubha for their vipassana, Asubha for insight, for detachment and wisdom. So that's the so-called Thai tradition. Okay, then for this pleasant path, those jhana practitioners, the Buddha called it a pleasant path. Pleasant path. And also the same thing, the Buddha said if a person do jhanas, they can reach fast or slow liberation depending on their five faculties. And depending on their faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. So it depends. So some people like to stuck very long, so take longer time to liberate. Some people they recharge enough, okay, then they contemplate. So different people have different faculties. Okay, this Asubha Sutta. Okay, then we move on to something related called the four elements. Four elements. So that's what we feel, right, in the session, four elements. Sensations. So the four elements sound a bit mystical, but actually they're not. Okay, so why is it related? Because one of the ways to practice the elements, for example, the earth element, they'll link it to the solid parts of the body, 32 parts of the body, all the solid parts, they call it earth element. So that's one way to perceive the elements. So if some people want to visualize the earth element, they think of the solid parts of the body. So that's one way to do it. So our way of doing it is the second point, which is anything hard or solid, the sensation, we call it the earth element. So interestingly, it can be internal or external. So it doesn't always have to be your body parts, your own body. It can be external, maybe somebody else's body, or non-biological object, anything hard. Anything hard, the screen also hard, right? So earth element. So we train to see mountains as not mountains. So we see things as elements. So if a person only specializes in dispassion to the body, I give an example. Some meditators, they claim they have a lot of dispassion to the body because they do the 32 parts only. But then when they go outside, they go shopping, want to buy all these items, nice, want to buy. So they do not have reduction of craving to other things, only just the body. So it's not a holistic kind of training. So 4 elements maybe a bit more universal. They cover everything because the whole universe made of the 4 elements. Right. So this I feel it is a more rounded approach. So you can use the 4 elements to contemplate. Then if you want, you can even reflect these elements as not self. Okay, then water element, the same. Anything that's watery or liquid in sensation, or any liquid parts of the body, part of the 32 parts of the body, or the blood, saliva, sweat, so on. Right, so you can reflect as non-self. Okay, so the next 2 parts will be interesting. Okay, let you take photo first. Okay, fire element, the heat element. A bit hard to visualize because we do not have infrared vision. Yeah, we cannot see the heat in our body, right? All the heat in our body cannot see how to visualize. So this is where the sensations come in. So if you want to practice the 4 elements a bit more fully, then use sensation. Sensation cover all the 4 elements. Okay. Right. So this for the heat element. Then the last one, wind element, also cannot see how to see wind element. The air they breathe in, breathe out, how to see. Right? Then all the gastric gases, digestive gases, how to see. So you can feel any movement, that's the wind element. Right? So that covers the 4 elements. Meditation. Okay, so the term, nowadays they change the term to cemetery contemplation, which is a bit misleading. So the correct term should be charnel ground meditation. Cemetery will be underground already, right? If you go to cemetery, the body buried underground. So we call this charnel ground meditation, or 9 stages of bodily decomposition. Okay, so the picture will kind of tell it all, from so-called fresh corpse at the bottom all the way to there's bones and scattered bones at the top. So these are the various stages. In between, you have animals eating, insects eating, right, and corpse bloating and so on. Okay, so another related way to practice the 4 elements is sometimes people want to visualize the elements. Visualize the elements. For example, maybe in the Visuddhimagga they will tell you, visualize a disc. So they create a disc, for example, a clay disc. Then they stare at the disc and they say, okay, this is earth element, earth kasina. Earth kasina. So they stare at the earth clay and they can so-called develop some concentration. Right? So this is the post-canonical version. The sutta version is to think of the environment. Think of the environment. So you need to visualize like the entire field of earth, entire field of soil. So that's the sutta's version. Same with the water kasina, you can think of the ocean body, or the fire kasina, I don't know, you think in the middle of fire or lava or something. Then wind element, maybe think of the sky, think of the open air, the sky. So that's one way to do it. but in our routine, we don't do a lot of visualization. We don't do a lot of visualization. But if you want, you can try. You can try. So there are other so-called kasinas that you can so-called visualize. Okay, some precaution. Some precaution. Every meditation object can practice wrongly. So yesterday we covered the 4 Brahmaviharas. You can practice wrongly. Breath meditation, practice wrongly. So this Asubha meditation also can practice wrongly. Okay, so this is this Vesali Sutta, the Buddha's time. There are monks who overdo it, think of the body until so much hatred to the body, so much aversion that they commit suicide. They commit suicide. But the sutta very funny. They give a story, say they hire assassins to kill themselves. They don't want to personally kill themselves, so they hire someone to kill themselves. Still the same, killing themselves. So we kind of be careful. So that's why in our routine, we have loving kindness to the body parts first, to reduce aversion. Then we think of impermanence, to reduce greed. If you whole day just think of dispassion, or try to have dispassion, or try to have disenchantment, you might build up too much aversion to the body. Too much aversion to the body. Then something might go wrong. So we don't want this to happen. Side effects. Okay. Okay, these visualization exercises happen to fall under these 4 bases of psychic power. A lot of visualization exercises is kind of like the routine of these bases of psychic power. So you can find this in the Iddhipada Vibhanga Sutta. So our routine, if you think of the body, usually we do it very short. So like I mentioned, some other systems, when they think of the certain part of the body, they think very long. Let's say they think of the bones, the whole day they visualize the bone, because most of them want to develop this psychic power. But in our routine, we don't do it for safety reason, not because I'm selfish or what. Safety reason. Because this visualization thing is to develop this higher knowledge, divine eye, for example, divine eye. So some people, like I mentioned, when they want to learn meditation, they want to predict 4D numbers, right? So they want to have certain special ability, which may or may not happen. This thing cannot choose one. It's not like your electronic device, you can change channel, you don't like the channel, you change channel. Doesn't work that way. So imagine you kind a channel that you don't want to see, you'll be in trouble. For example, some people, they practice and suddenly can see ghosts. They don't want to see ghosts, but suddenly they can see ghosts. So whole day become horror movie. They see demons and ghosts, demons and ghosts. So can be emotionally traumatic for some people. So we don't do this for too long, in case you might accidentally so-called develop this. Yeah, so these are the psychic power, like modern day comic heroes. So some people want to fly, want to do this or do that. In the sutta, it mentioned can, but we don't take the risk. Yeah, it's Iddhipada Vibhanga Sutta. Right, so we don't take the risk. So personally, I came across 2 monks, Singaporean monks. They disrobe because they like to visualize and they see the unseen beings, and they disrobe. One of them disrobe because become a bit mentally unstable, cannot differentiate this reality from the reality they see. So sometimes in the forest monastery can get lost because some unseen being call him. They walk into the forest lost. They need a search party to search for him for a few days, something like that. So he got this issue. Then another person that disrobed, because he's interested to catch ghosts, interested to catch ghosts. And so after, when he was a monk, he was very interested in all those drawing the yantras lah, amulet lah. Then I want to see the ghosts lah. And even go to a house, try to catch ghosts lah. Then monks cannot catch ghosts actually against the priest. So maybe he changed occupation. So now he become Taoist priest. So now he can officially catch ghosts. So he continued to do this. So again, not suitable for everybody. If you have extra this vision or anything, it might be extra distraction. May not be beneficial for you. It's just like there's a reason why we ask you not to watch entertainment, right? Because distraction. So in order to know whether you're suitable to develop this or not, you check your own internet search history. If your internet search history is full of rubbish and full of entertainment, better don't spend too much time developing this thing. You end up whole day just watching your new channel, then you distraction. So better don't. Okay, so that's the end of my sharing. Very short presentation today. Any questions or issues? Yeah. Elevate themselves, I don't know. Yeah, many them might be real. If I want to be more critical, maybe those magicians, they also might know how to do it. They might have their own tricks on the trick. Something like that, yeah. So that's why the Buddha advised monastics not to display this kind of thing in the open. Might be subject to various criticism. So first is could be like what you mentioned, like David Copperfield style. People might think, hey, this is just magic trick lah. Or they might think demonic powers. They might not think of this. So the Buddha said, don't display these kind of things in open. Yeah. Okay, any other?
One day when you are practicing, say loving kindness, and when you perceive the mind, suddenly some objectives. So what do? You actually look and then apply the 7 factors mindfulness, or do you just ignore it? What's the advice?
Okay, usually whatever image, if it's usually like this mentally generated image, we treat it as distraction, don't care, mental formation. Then we just come back to our meditation routine, continue our routine. Okay. If it is an external being, if you perceive it as external being, you can wish them well and happy lah. Wish them well and happy lah. Then once you wish them well and happy, continue your thing. And make sure you strengthen your mind. Don't engage too long because that's depleting energy. It's good that you make your stance known first. You wish them well and happy, you do them no harm, right? So that's the declaration. Then once you do that, then you continue lah. So regarding external beings, so this one very interesting. I have to talk about this Atanatiya Sutta. Not all beings are, whatever you see may not be friendly. Maybe in the temple setting, in the monastery setting, may be safer. But if you go outside in the wild, some of them can be very territorial, or some of them can be predatory in nature. So this sutta, Ataniyata Sutta, talks about these 4 heavenly kings come down to see the Buddha. So these 4 heavenly kings is not the Andy Lau and the Aaron Kwok, those people. These are the kings of the 4 races. Now you have the king of the Yaka race, the Naga race, the Gandhaba, and the Kumbandana. So these are 4 races. So our theme today, the way of the dragon, is under this Naga. But we are not really worshipping the Naga or anything. It's just a symbolic representation of the 7 factors of awakening. Okay, so these 4 heavenly kings approached the Buddha and told the Buddha that all these beings, not all of them like religious teaching. You tell them don't kill, don't steal, they don't like. They don't like. Some of them is in their nature to want to harm, want to kill. So the way these 4 heavenly kings describe is like 50-50. You know, some of them practice, some of them don't practice, like 50-50. Like 50-50. And they try to guarantee the Buddha, give the Buddha assurance. If ever any of the subjects harm your disciples, harm, as in they possess, they harass, they harm you, then you can first make a declaration that you are a disciple of the Triple Gem, disciple of the Buddha. Then your bosses, your kings, are also, they revere the Triple Gem, revere the Buddhas. So the sutta very long. Some they talk about 7 Buddhas, or some even include 28 Buddhas. So if you can memorize them, good. If you cannot memorize, never mind. Just think of, okay, Triple Gem. Think of the Triple Gem. Recollect the Triple Gems. And if they still do not stop harassing you, then there's a second protocol, which is to call on the 4 heavenly kings. So you can recite their name, then they give the list of their generals' names. So in case if they no time to come down, then their lieutenants or whoever will come down and apprehend the troublemaker. So this is the chant. Yeah. So if you encounter any being, have loving kindness, wish all beings well. So that's the idea. Any other questions? Any issues?
Loving kindness to body parts. I can imagine the body parts functioning well. That is happy. The bottom is happy. But for 4 elements, what is happiness for earth and water and fire?
Okay. Yeah. So our understanding of this well and happy, we shift up the benchmark higher. We think of like liberation kind of happiness. We don't think about the mundane health and whatever, which is subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. So we think of something, we push the benchmark higher. So 4 elements are the same thing. We wish the sensation well, that means we don't cling. That means we wish them at peace, That means mentally we don't cling, don't have stress and that. Yeah.
So basically like equanimity.
Not equanimity. That means shifting the goalpost of this right view, so that we still can have loving kindness, wish beings well, wish the body parts well, wish the sensations well, without demanding, I want my body to be free from medical checkup. No, it's not like that. Yeah, so you need to wish it well. Whatever nature happen, let nature happen. You just wish it well.
Just see things as they are without without greed or hatred.
Closer to that, yeah. Closer to that. Yep. Okay, any other question? Yep. According to the vipassana would be if you think of impermanence, then yes. If there is reduction of greed and attachment, then yes. If it stuns your perception for that moment, yes, there's a bit of insight. But if you hold the image for too long, then you'll be attached to the image. So that's why you think of impermanence. At least in the traditional sense, cannot develop. Of course, some people may combine. They may combine. So earlier on, we covered about the thing of the environment, thing the kasina like kind of meditation. Usually, those meditations may lead to the formless concentration. For example, like infinity of space. So if some people combine, they like Asubha, they think like microscope, they think of the enhance the body part like in the midst of it, then maybe.
worm crawling.
Yeah. Mm.
Set the body. Wait.
Mm.
Visualize that.
Visualize. Worms crawling. Not necessary. Yeah, not necessary. Yeah, we just think of the parts of the body. You don't have to over dramatize. Think of like what surgeon use knife to cut you. I don't have to do until that level. Yeah, become too dramatic. So we try to reduce the drama.
Okay, so if you look at all these parts in food preparation, then you
That we do external parts first. At least it's quite safe because we see the external parts every day. Internal parts, you can try, but if let's say you that's why you accompany with the right thought, wishing well and happy first. If by wishing well and happy still you find too gross or too emotional, probably at that point of time still not ready to do that. Yeah, then you kind of switch first. Yeah. I know of people who practice, then end up depression, then you need to take these anxiety pills. So don't go until that level. Any other? Yep. Yes. Yes. Not see emergencies. The Buddhist chant is a diplomatic chant. It's not to use it to fight off demonic forces and that kind of stuff. No. Yeah. So the 28 Buddhas, you can recite it out of to increase your faith. Increase your faith to triple jet to the Buddha. Yeah, if you can remember, then good. Yeah. Yeah, one will do because all the Buddhas have the same enlightenment. Okay, all right. Any other? Yep.
The casinos, when you say fire, I imagine going to imagine oneself is in the middle of a sun.
Oh, okay.
Sun expands forever.
Okay.
In some alternate universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might work, but again, this one visualization need a teacher to guide you. Right? Because if you do yourself, then you might see things. Then who to look for advice, something like that. So can be problematic. So for example, in the Tibetan tradition, before they take any initiation to visualize any bodhisattva or Buddha, they need to go through purification practices first. Like they need to prostrate don't know how many thousand times now or chant the mantra don't know how many thousand times to make sure they have enough merit, enough good karma. So when they take up this practice, at least they have some right view, and in case they happen to develop this divine eye or whatever, at least the thing they see is pleasant thing. Because they have good karma, enough good karma, then the beings that come is attracted to the same frequency. So if our karma not so good, then you do this, then all the negative being will come to you only. Yeah. So Theravada tradition, very weird. Straight ask to visualize. Visualize, see white light or see this or see that. Then a bit problematic. Yeah.
Asubha is considered one of the protective meditation.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah, okay, very good question. So these are the 4 guardians for insight. 4 guardians for insight. So you mentioned the Buddhanusati to generate faith and right view, Metta to overcome aversion, and Asubha overcome greed. Yeah, greed or lust. Yeah, then the last one, Maranasati, is to overcome like delusion. So Maranasati is the last phase, like impermanence. So you have overcome greed, hatred, and then delusion. Yeah, so in a grosser form. So we have these few meditation guardians. So if you are let's say you are not sure, it's good to do 4 to balance up each other. In case if, like the Vesali Sutta, if a person do one to extreme, then you have others to counterbalance. Yeah.
But if I cannot do Asubha,
Hmm.
then I do the 3 and then I do that.
Yeah, also can. Yeah. Yep. Okay, any other question? Yep.
Okay, can clarify. Maybe in the Sutta they say there's 31 body parts and the Visuddhimagga is
31. Okay, sometimes they leave out the brain. They leave out the brain. Yeah, so it's like a no-brainer. Not too important. Not too important. Yeah, it's a minor thing.
The skeleton can lead to jhana. Yes.
If they kind of, if you zoom in and make it like like the big casino thing, then maybe formless concentration. Any other question? Okay, if not, then we can do the guided sitting. Hopefully, you want to do stretching first? Do long lecture, do some stretching. Then we come back for the sitting, maybe 5 minutes, want to go break and everything. Okay, if you're back, then we can find a comfortable posture, make sure upright, and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so because today's theme is on these impurities of the body, so we learn how to detach not just the body, but also the image towards the body. Huh? So the first thing we're going to do when we visualize all the hairs, from head to toe, all the hairs, if we just visualize by itself, without right thought, there's a tendency to go into greed or anger. If let's say the parts of the body look very beautiful, the hair look very nice, you have the latest hairstyle, right, very nice looking, you might have greed. If let's say the hair you find disgusting or very messy, you don't like it, then you might develop aversion. So these are the two extremes. Huh? So when we apply right thought, we are actually walking the middle path, avoiding both extremes. So first we're going to wish the hairs well and happy. So when you think of a new patch of hair, wish it well and happy. New patch of hair, well and happy. So the repetition is right effort. And the phrasing is to wish the hairs, not wish my hairs. And the my, the me, the I, myself, then there'll be a lot of attachment, very hard to let go later. Huh? So remove the me and my from the equation. Just wish the hairs well and happy. And the more you generate right thought to reduce the aversion, and you can observe the state of mind Is it getting calmer or getting more agitated? Okay, then the same thing, the more you keep on generating right thought, the mind will settle down to this baseline level. It will settle down to your current maximum level. So we call this the baseline level. And every time you improve, the baseline will shift actually. So if you find the rate of settling is negligible, then that is your current baseline level. And we take note of this state of mind. The baseline is neutral, no jhanas, no vipassana, no nothing. So we are going to take note of the state of mind. And this would be the minimum requirement for this insight meditation. So we're going now to think of all the hairs go through birth, aging, sickness and death. So the Marana Sati is slightly included. So you think of all the hairs growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we need to mentally label impermanence or any word or phrase associated with impermanence. That's part of right thought. You can call it birth and death, rising and falling, and just pick a favorite and keep repeating. If any detachment takes place, then it may trigger these factors of awakening, especially the joy. That's the byproduct, it's indicator you're on the right track. And continue to keep labeling impermanence, keep looping the image. So when we do this so-called insight practice, we are not training the hairs. It's not like after we meditate on the hairs, our hair get more shinier. Doesn't work that way. So it's actually to train to let go of the 5 clinging aggregates. You need the 5 aggregates to perceive the visualized image. Right? Whatever shape or color that appears, that's perception based on your memory. And when you generate a new image, that's a new mental formation. And if you're aware of that image, we call this the mind or consciousness. And the first aggregate is the form. Yeah, so obviously the hair is part of the 4 elements. And you have the feelings. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. When you think of a young hair, what kind of feeling? When you think of the hair falling off, what kind of feeling? So when you keep looping the image, the 5 aggregates always keep changing. So we need to investigate the nature of this impermanence, 5 clinging aggregates. But the anchor, the main meditation object, is the looping of the birth and death of the hairs. And in this process, we can observe the attachment and detachment process. If you apply the Noble Eightfold Path, you label impermanence, and detachment should occur. But if, let's say, you start to autopilot or drift off, then that's the symptoms of attachment. So to understand attachment and detachment, so the initial phase of detachment will trigger the 7 factors of awakening, especially the joy. But if you're already detached, the more you detach further, you trigger the further factors of awakening, such as tranquility and samadhi and so on. So it's subjective to your craving level. If your craving is reduced, it will experience the later factors of awakening. But if, let's say, your craving is too high, then you might trigger the first few factors. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Can you tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? So next we can think of the nails, fingernails and toenails. May they be well and happy. So this is the samatha phase. And interestingly, even though wishing the nails well and happy, the samatha phase might be a wholesome thought, but there will be clinging involved. Once we stop thinking of impermanence, somehow the sense of self, the delusion will appear again. So now we do the insight phase. We're going to think of impermanence of all the nails, fingernails and toenails, and we kind of think of them growing and falling. They go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So you think of them growing and falling many, many cycles. And as we keep looping the image, we keep on labeling impermanence. And for the insight phase, it's about challenging yourself to see how far you can go, how far you can detach. And the more you detach, the more peaceful the mind will get. Then we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? And next we can think of the teeth, all the teeth inside the mouth. May they be well and happy. All the upper rows of teeth, lower rows of teeth, may they be well and happy. And all these teeth go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of the teeth growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, you need to keep labeling impermanence. Okay, maybe for those who are a bit tired, you might increase the rate of reflection. It means increase the labeling. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? And next we can think of the skin, the skin that surrounds the entire body from head to toe. May they be well and happy. Every patch of skin well and happy, every patch of skin well and happy. Okay, and all this skin are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So we think of the skin growing and falling, growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping these images, we need to keep labeling impermanence. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? Okay, so the next phase we are doing is the 4 element sensations. So there's no need to visualize anymore, just feeling of the sensations. We call this mindfulness on the 4 elements: earth, fire, wind, water. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations, fire is hot and cold, wind is fast, slow movements, and water is the moist or dry sensations. So in this practice, we first observe the sensations, let it appear naturally by themselves, do not deliberately create them. So we are not trying to control or fight or resist. So we learn to make peace, wish them well and happy. Any sensation appear, wish them well and happy. So everything is real-time evidence, no imagination. Okay, once the mind is settled down to your current baseline, and we're going to do the impermanence aspect of these 4 elements. So we're going to now label as impermanent instead of wishing the elements well and happy. You can use any word or phrase associated with impermanence. You can use rising and falling, birth and death. And we keep repeating it. Okay, so these sensations will be there throughout the whole day, in all postures, whether you're working or standing, walking. There will be the 4 elements at play all the time. So actually every moment you can be mindful of the impermanence of the four elements. And I leave it to you to do your self-practice. Can do in other postures, to sit also. Yeah?